If your hair keeps breaking, getting thin, or refuses to get longer, it's because your routine isn't working. Hair growth takes strategy, and that's why today I'll show you how to build the perfect routine. Hi my loves, welcome back. And if you're new here, welcome. Here in this channel we talk about relaxed hair growth, protective styling, and anything hair related. So if you know you're interested in this type of content, please consider subscribing to join the family. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how to build the perfect hair growth routine in 2025. And without further ado, let's just get started. So when it comes to building the perfect routine for your hair, the first thing you want to do is research. Like, there is no boycotting this. You have to research. You have to research and find out your hair type, your hair porosity, your hair density, your hair needs, your hair growth rate, basically everything about your hair, especially if you are a beginner, because your whole routine is going to be built on this. You can't just copy someone else's routine from A to Z and apply it on your hair. It doesn't work that way, sis. Everyone's hair is different. What worked for A may not work for B, and what worked for B may not work for C. So that is why before you start building your routine, the first thing you want to do is research. Like, go on the internet, learn about how to know your hair porosity, learn about how to know your hair density, learn about how to know your hair needs. Like, Google is literally free, YouTube is free. There are tons, thousands of videos on the internet on how to get these things. So sis, you literally have no excuse. So research and know every single thing there is to know about your hair, ranging from your hair type, whether you are relaxed or natural, or whether you have 4C hair or 4A hair or 3C hair, because the way to take care of relaxed hair may be slightly different from how to take care of natural hair, and the way you are going to care for 4C hair may be different from how you care for 1A hair. So you have to know your hair type, you have to know your hair porosity, whether you have high porosity hair, low porosity hair, or medium porosity hair, because the way you care for high porosity hair may be different from low porosity hair. For example, when you want to deep condition low porosity hair, you are going to get the best results when you use heat, because it's hard for low porosity hair to absorb products. So you need heat to open up those pores to be able to absorb the product. But when it comes to high porosity hair, you may not need to use heat, because the hair pores are already open, like they will readily absorb and grab the product. So that is why knowing about your hair porosity is important. Knowing your hair density is also important. Also know that your hair density does not equate to how thick your hair strands are. When it comes to hair thickness, you can have fine hair, you can have coarse hair. When it comes to hair density, you can have low density hair, high density hair. Basically, density refers to how much hair strands you have in a particular area of your scalp. So it simply means like how many hair strands you have on your scalp, while your hair thickness refers to how thick a particular hair strand is. So you can have very thick hair but low density, and you can have high density hair but very fine hair. Okay, so density does not equate to how thick your hair strands are. Okay, so you need to know that. You also have to research what your hair needs are. Does your hair need protein? Does it need moisture? Or is your hair perfect and it just needs a maintenance of both products? Okay, so you need to know all these things. You also need to know your hair growth rate. Is your hair growth rate 1/4 inch? Is it 1 inch? So that you know what to expect when it comes to getting your hair longer, length retention, and all of that. And you also know what to expect when it comes to setting your hair goals. So you guys see why researching is very, very important. Like, if you can research very, very thoroughly and know all these things about your hair, the rest part of building your hair regimen or your hair routine is very, very simple, because you already have the basis. All you now have to do is just to fill in the boxes. So the next thing you want to do when it comes to building the perfect hair growth routine for your hair is do not follow hair trends. Like I said, copying another person's regimen from A to Z may not work for your hair, because everyone's hair is unique, everyone's hair needs is unique. So don't go on the internet, don't go on social media and decide to follow this routine because everyone is doing it. Don't jump on using rice water because everyone is using rice water. Don't jump on using rosemary oil because everyone is using that. Don't jump on using mini braids just because everyone is using mini braids. I am not saying that you shouldn't do these things if it's going to work for you, but simply going on the internet and copying and following trends blindly is not the best thing for your hair. If after doing your research and you find out that installing mini braids will work best for your hair, you can go ahead and install mini braids. But the worst mistake is when you don't research, when you don't do anything, when you don't even know what your hair needs, but you decide to go on the internet and just copy trends blindly just because everyone is doing them. This is the worst mistake you can make for your hair. So instead of doing this, research on what your hair actually needs and make decisions based on what your hair needs. So moving on, the next thing you want to do is to set a clear goal. What do you want from your hair? What do you want to achieve in 2025 when it comes to your hair? I always talk about setting goals every year, every quarter, even down to every month when it comes to your hair growth journey. In fact, every year I share my goals with you guys on the channel. I already have a 2025 hair goals video up on the channel. You can check it out in case you missed it. Last year I shared my hair goals with you guys as well, the year before that. So you want to make sure you have a goal and make sure to set realistic goals. Okay, so you can't just wake up one morning and decide that the only thing you want to do is just to get longer hair or just to get healthier hair. Be specific. What do you really want this month? What do you really want by the end of the year? Is it to get from shoulder length to bra strap length? Is it to get from bra strap length to waist length? Like, set a particular clear goal so that when you are making progress, you know that you are making progress. If you just set a vague goal that you want to get longer hair, like, what does longer hair even mean? How do you even know if you've gotten your target? When you set a goal such as getting longer hair, there is no end result. Like, where do you stop? Where is the target? Like, where do you know if you've achieved your goal? Okay, so you want to set a clear, realistic goal. Emphasis on the realistic, because you can't just wake up one morning and decide that, okay, this year I'm going to grow my hair from shoulder length to butt length. Like, how, sis? How? Like, shoulder length to butt length in 1 year? Make it make sense. Okay, so in as much as you are setting goals, make sure that they are realistic as well. And also know that setting goals for your hair doesn't involve just things like getting longer hair, getting healthier hair, growing to waist length, and all of that. Trying to be more consistent can actually be a goal as well, okay? Because I noticed that so many people have good routines, they even know what to do, they have the right products and all of that, but they aren't consistent. Even if you have the most perfect routine in the world, if you are not consistent, you are not going to get the best results. So goals doesn't just have to be about getting your hair to waist length and all of that. You can also set a goal to be more consistent, and I feel like consistency is the most important thing when it comes to getting your hair longer, being on a hair journey and all of that. So yeah, your hair goals can literally be anything that drives you closer to what you want for your hair. Okay, so moving on, the next thing you want to do is to track your hair growth journey and adjust accordingly. You want to make sure to keep a track of your hair progress, of your hair journey, of the products you use, of what your routine is currently like. Keep track of everything. In fact, have a hair growth journey calendar, what you do on your hair per month, per week, per day. Record it down and record the progress you got for that period as well. In fact, I have a hair growth tracker that is linked down in my description box below, so you can check it out if you are interested. Okay, so you want to make sure you track everything down to the products you use, the type of products you use, because sometimes life can be so overwhelming that we forget things, like we forget what we did to our hair to get a particular result. You might actually see that, yeah, your hair has gotten visibly longer, but you can't even remember the exact thing that you did to get it to look like that. Or your hair may be getting longer, but you may not be noticing it because you are seeing it every day, you are working on it every day. And when you are seeing something every day, it's actually hard for you to see the progress compared to when you like track everything down on paper. Okay, so you have to measure your progress. If your hair is 16 inches this month and you measure next month and it's 17 inches, On paper you actually see the progress, but if you are just looking at it with your naked eyes, 1 inch may not make that much of a difference to you. So that is why it's important to keep track of your progress, keep track of your routines, so that you know what is working and so that you know the results you are getting from whatever you are doing. And you also have to make sure to adjust accordingly with time. If something is working, keep on doing that. If something is not working, then you modify. And you also have to know that you don't have to use the same hair growth routine throughout your hair growth journey, even if it worked initially. The hair routine I was using when I started my hair journey isn't what I'm using today. Your hair needs are going to change over time. Your hair demands are going to change over time. Your lifestyle is going to change over time. The routine that worked for you 10 years ago may not work for you today. The routine that got your hair from shoulder length to waist length may not be able to get your hair from waist length to hip length. Yeah, so you always have to observe and check. Is your current regimen working? Is your current routine working? Are your current products working? Are your current protective styles working? You need to ask all of these questions and make modifications accordingly. Okay, the routine I'm using today is very different from what I started with. When I started with my hair journey, I was carrying my protective styles for 6 weeks, but now I can carry my protective styles for as long as 4 months. When I started my hair journey, I was stretching my relaxers for 3 months, but recently I even went on a 16-month relaxer stretch. When I started my hair journey, I wasn't doing much of deep conditioning, all of that. I was majorly heavy on protective styling, which worked to an extent. I still retained length, but it got to a stage that wasn't working anymore, and that was when I started doing things like deep conditioning and all of that. So the fact that a routine worked for you today doesn't mean that you have to stick with that routine forever if it's not giving results again. So look at your routine, look at your hair. Is it giving you results? If it's giving you results, stick with it. If it's not, then you have to adjust, babes. Okay, there is no rule that says that you have to stick with that routine forever just because it worked for you initially. All right, now moving on, the next thing you want to consider when it comes to building the perfect hair growth routine in 2025 is consistency. In fact, the rule is consistency over perfection. No matter what your hair growth routine is, what your products are, whatever you have today, start with that, but more importantly, be consistent. You don't have to have the perfect hair growth routine. You don't have to have everything laid out or your products ready, all the information, everything you need. You just have to start with what you have currently and be consistent. In fact, more often than not, during a hair growth journey, you are going to learn while on the journey, not before you start the hair journey. You are going to learn on the job. Okay, so you're going to learn from experience. It's going to take trials and errors before you finally get what works, because in trying to experiment and do things on your hair, that is when you will find out what your hair likes. That is when you will find out what your hair despises, and that is when you start making changes. And in order to get to this stage, you have to be consistent. Okay, in fact, you are going to get better results if you have a very simple, imperfect regimen and you are consistent, than you have a very perfect regimen that you are not consistent with. So the rule is consistency over perfection. No matter what your hair routine is, no matter what you are able to come up with, no matter the products you have currently, just be consistent with that, and I assure you that you will see the changes. So sometimes when it comes to our hair growth journey, getting our hair longer, healthier, smashing our hair goals, it's more about the quantity sometimes rather than the quality. It's more about how often you do something, how often you wash your hair, how often you moisturize your hair, how often you install protective styles, how often you take care of your hair, rather than using the most quality products or using the most perfect protective style or using the best moisturizing routine, rather than using the perfect regimen once and just abandoning it. So yeah, sometimes it's more about the quantity, how often you do these things, rather than the quality of the routine or regimen itself. Yeah, the quality is important, especially when you want to get the best results for your hair, but the quantity matters a lot, especially when you are a beginner and you are still trying to figure it out. It's going to take you a lot of experimentation, trials and errors before you get what works. So yeah, try to be consistent and choose consistency over perfection every time. Okay, So yeah guys, that is it for how to build the perfect hair growth routine or regimen in 2025. You also have to know that there is no overall perfect routine, like universal perfect hair growth routine. A hair growth routine may be perfect for your hair but for not another person, and a hair growth routine may be perfect for another person but not for your hair. And that is why you shouldn't simply copy and paste another person's routine just because it worked for them. Okay, so you want to build your own perfect hair growth routine. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So yeah guys, if you are trying to create the perfect hair growth routine for your hair, make sure to follow all the steps in this video, and I can assure you that you will be amazed at how far you can go with your hair growth journey. Also, let me know in the comment section down below what are your current hair struggles when it comes to creating your perfect hair growth routine, and I'll make sure to get back to you. Okay, so yeah guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. If you're new here and you aren't subscribed, please consider subscribing to join the family, and don't forget to turn on the post notification bell so that you'll be the first to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Okay, so yeah guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.